Shalom, y'all. Happy Thursday. I am so excited to be talking to you. As you can see, I've got my yarmulke on. I've got my prayer shawl on. I have my staff in hand, and I am ready to observe Passover, or at least to talk about Passover with you. Passover is the oldest holiday in the world, and I love it. I truly, truly love it. Just by the way, free information for you. My family and I, we observe Passover every year. We do it Messianic style. And I want to invite you to come and join us for Passover this year, too. It's going to be on March 28th. It's the Thursday night before Easter. Actually, it's pretty exciting. Passover falls. The the Jewish calendar has aligned with our Christian calendar this year. So Passover actually falls on Easter weekend. So Jews all over the world will be observing Passover the same time that we will be as well. But I'd love for you to come and join us. And anyway, let's dive in. Again, it's the world's oldest holiday. And I've got my Seder plate, as you can see. And I have my Seder cup, and I'm actually going to be using this to help us understand the lesson today because it's a pretty big deal. And if you come to Passover, you'll really get it. It's amazing the way that God showed up to show us Jesus even way back when. It's a really, really cool deal. There are three things that students need to see, or rather, let me back up. There are three things that students don't need to do with this lesson, and one, maybe two really big things they do need to do with this lesson. Number one, don't let them ignore God's wrath. And here's what I mean by this. For starters, this is a story they've heard bajillions of times. Don't let them just wash over the fact, yeah, God killed a bunch of people, we all got to go free. Yay, okay? On this night, if you are a firstborn male, regardless of your age, and no sacrifice was offered for you, if blood was not put on your doorway, you died. If you were a firstborn animal, you died. And that's an awful, deeply heavy thought. Let them feel that some. That's a big, big deal. Okay? Let them experience that some. But then number two, don't let them relish God's wrath. See, there's a part of us that wants to read this story and we cheer for the good guys, right? So we're like, yeah, God, get them. Totally. Okay? But you need to understand something about Passover. Back to my Seder plate and Seder cup here. There are four different specific cups that are observed during a Passover meal. The second one is known as the cup of plagues. And it's not an actual drink that the Jews take. They take their Seder plate and they set it down and it's got all their food on it. But they dip their finger inside of the Seder cup. And 10 different times they get a drop of the wine and they drop it on their plate. And each time that they drop a drop of the wine on their plate, they recite the names of the plagues. And so it would look like this. They would say, blood, frogs, flies, boils. And they would go all through all 10 plagues. And what they're doing is they're remembering the plagues, not in the sense like, yeah, that was awesome when God did that to the Egyptians. Man, how about that time he sent all those frogs? That was crazy cool, wasn't it? But the best one was when God killed all those people. Yay, God. It's not what they're doing. They're actually mourning all those deaths. Jews value life highly, and part of the Passover meal is the reminder that life is a big, big deal. God took no joy in slaying Egyptians that day, but he was right to. So don't let them relish that wrath. And then finally, don't let them focus on the wrath of God. And here's what I mean by this. The truth is that God displayed a tremendous amount of grace this day. Okay? But we focus on, man, God killed a bunch of babies and God killed a bunch of adults. God just killed a whole bunch of people. That's not fair. But the truth of the matter is, no, it wasn't fair, because fair would have meant all the Egyptians died. All of them. Because all of them had been guilty of picking on God's kids for 400 years, if you want to look at it in those terms. But the truth of the matter is, we know from scriptures, the Jews should have died too, because they were guilty of ignoring God's laws as well. The scriptures tell us very, very plainly that all have sinned. All of us have fallen short for the glory of God, and the wages of sin is death. Everybody that night should have died. God in his mercy and his kindness said, nope, just the firstborns are going to die. And He targeted the firstborns because in some ways the Egyptians worshiped the firstborn. Okay? But the truth is, everybody should have died. But instead, God in his kindness let a bunch of lambs die. Now you might have some teenage girls go, oh, that's so sad for the lambs. I've had that over a number of years. Because lambs are cute. You might even have a picture of a lamb. If you've got one, bring that, show it to them. They're super cute. Okay? To this day, when I tell my children the story of what was done to Jesus, my kids cry. The truth is, when I really start to think about what happened to Jesus too, when I feel the weight of God's wrath being poured out on his son, I cry as well. And we're right to, because it wasn't fair that Jesus had to die for the sins of other people. And it wasn't fair that all those lambs died for the sins of a bunch of people too. But God in his kindness, fulfilling his justice, because death had to come, took it out on a bunch of lambs instead. And God in his kindness took it out on his son Jesus for us instead. And so what we need to focus on is the incredible grace, the illogical grace that was shown on people that day and is still shown to us this day. And then finally, help the students to see that God forever proved that night that nobody could stand in his way. And nothing and no one would keep him from redeeming his people. And that's still true for us today. He would stop at nothing. There was no bound that he would not reach for in order to save us. No God could keep us captive. Nothing could stand before the Father and stop him. Nothing. Shalom, y'all. I love you.